order this regular meeting of council of October 18th. And just to remind you that permission has been requested to video the meeting. Cameras over there, so if anyone just wish to be filmed, just stay with the sidelines of the camera. One amendment to the agenda, which is the addition of item 12, which is a motion to close after this meeting under section 91K of the community charter. So that amendment is asked for a motion to approve that amended agenda. Councillor Valeria, Councillor White, all in favor? It's carried. Just have the item 2.1 here. Just the approval, 3.1. Approval for adoption of the minutes from the October 14th meeting. Councillor Sanjanko, Councillor Valeria, all in favor then? It's carried. Okay, we've got Staff Sergeant Mathura with us evening, just to give us your quarterly update with respect to RCMP activity. Good to see you.
My biggest nemesis in these meetings is the mic. Good evening to Gibsons Town Council, and good evening to the full gallery behind me. Today I'll be presenting on our third quarter statistics for the town of Gibsons. And overall, I'm actually quite pleased with it, because the third quarter is usually our busiest quarter. We're looking at the summer months, July, August, and September. In comparison to last year, their third quarter, our call volume is down by 9%. Our crimes against persons, which are your assaults and lateral threats, were down 21%. Our property crimes, we did have an increase there, and that was predominantly with the rash of shoplifting that we had. Other criminal codes down 31%, and that was a major decrease in the number of false disturbance files we had. We had 2 more instances of CDSA or drug files. Our other federal statutes were down 22%, and that was primarily due to a decrease in intoxicated persons files. Our provincial statutes were down 38%, and bylaw infractions down 29%, and our traffic investigations are down 15%. So to put things in perspective, last year, I believe I spoke about an increase, not just here on Sunshine Coast, but on the Lower Mainland District as a whole. Everything climbed us up by about 20%. I looked at stats this morning, and from the beginning of this year to now, on Sunshine Coast, we're down 18%. So we've returned to the norm, whereas the rest of the Lower Mainland District was just down 1%. So in comparison to other communities in the Lower Mainland District, we're doing actually quite well. Last time I spoke was just before the Sea Cavalcade, and the Pokemon Go craze was running rampant. Sea Cavalcade went well, and Pokemon Go, I think, is not dead. The major thing that we have coming up is Halloween, and for that day to help protect our young ones, our trick-or-treaters will be doubling the amount of human resources we usually have now. Do you have any questions?
I don't think that I have. I had looked at some of the monthly ones, and there was a big jump in property crimes in some of the months there. But I guess when you look at it over the the quarter, it's not a whole lot. It's sort of saying so. So no, from that perspective. Is there any other issues that have come up in this area, particularly of any concern to the department?
For town of Gibsons, the rest of the Sunshine Coast did have some issues, but Gibsons are good.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming and keeping us trapped. I know you had some challenging activities this last month or so, and it seems to me from all reports it's been handled extremely professionally. So, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4.2, a petition regarding the chip sealing program. So, is there someone that's speaking to this, or just a petition that been received in the minutes here? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How many people are here about chip sealing? Okay. Significant number. So let me just, I'll give you a bit of background, and I'll have to rely on staff a little bit on this. About 2 or 3 years ago, the town, as part of its due diligence, commissioned a road condition assessment from the town. And what that told us is, first of all, we've got 32 kilometers of roads in the town, and fully a third of them are in poor or very poor condition. The report basically told us that we needed to spend $550,000 a year just to keep our roads where we are now without any really significant improvement. That's not money that the town has. I want to be very clear about that. It's important to understand that a 1% tax increase in the town of Gibsons brings in the handsome sum of $25,000. So you can soon see the type of taxation that would be involved in trying to meet that obligation, shall we say. So the council asked our staff to look at other possibilities that we could explore to maintain the roads in the town. And one of those options was the chip sealing process, which is underway on Martin, Seacott, Hillcrest, who have I missed?
Mountain View and Triple Brook.
Mountain View and Triple Brook.
Give or take, that is a couple smaller ones in there too.
And the budget for doing all of those roads is about $250,000. Is that correct, or a little bit less?
It's close to that.
Close to that. So we're attempting with a lot less money than what we require to deal with significantly more roads than we could possibly do with the money we don't have. Essentially, the council was faced with really a situation where either we completely abandoned repairing our roads, or we find another solution. And so the chip sealing is an attempt to find another solution that will hopefully keep our roads in usable condition for several years to come. The process, and David may have to correct me on this, but essentially is that there's tar that's laid down on the road, followed by some gravel that's on there, and then that's rolled. And it will sit like that for a period of about, I'm going to say 4 to 6 weeks. I'm okay so far on that. All right. The idea being that the gravel will compress into the tar. Now, it will still, at the end of that period, and at the end of that period of time, as I understand it, it will be swept so that the loose gravel is taken up. It will still be in somewhat of a rough-looking condition at that point, and it will take a while before it actually starts to look like a paved road. I think the only place I could ask you to look if you want to see sort of an end result, if I'm correct, is the road that leads up to the green waste above Reed Road. Am I correct on that, David?
That's one road. Another one that we've been mentioning to people is Feeney Road. There are numerous other roads on the Sunshine Coast because they're roughly 2/3 of local roads are chip sealed. Okay.
So what I want to be clear is that what you're seeing on your roads right now is not going to be the sort of end look. It will have somewhat of a paved look, but it will not be the type of pavement that we've been able to use in the past. We tried very hard to let people know what we were doing. There were several discussions at committee and council meetings, And I sort of fully understand that people wouldn't necessarily see those, because I can assure you, if I wasn't here, I wouldn't read our council meetings either. But we did that. We advertised what we were going to do through the newspaper, on Facebook, on the website. We had plaques here in the town hall entrance for several days. There was door-to-door notice sent out. Even after all of that, only 3 households showed up at the open house that we have to explain what we were going to do. There were 3 other door-to-door notices, one on August 11th, September 9th, September 27th. So we worked very hard to let people know what we were doing. It was very important to council, and we said it from the very beginning when we explored this possibility, that it was important to communicate with the community as to what we were doing and why we felt we had to do that. So over the next few weeks, as I said, that gravel will be swept off and it will smooth down the road. It's an inconvenience in the interim. We are looking at it as a possible solution for further road maintenance in the town, but we won't be doing anything further until we actually see how this one works out for us. So quite simply, the choice that your council has to make, as I said earlier, is either we abandon our road maintenance altogether or we find alternative solutions. We're not a rich town. We can't afford to pave all of our roads to the standard that we would like. And so choices have to be made between the service level that we're able to provide in this town or taxation that, quite frankly, is just simply unsupportable. So that's how we got to where we are. I'm sorry if there's been, some inconvenience for people. We're doing our best to try to improve your neighborhoods. I would have liked they had done my road, but they wouldn't do it. But in any event, we are doing our best to try to make your neighborhoods better, and it will be this period of time where it is going to be an inconvenience. I've read, and I think all council has read, the input that we've had through the petition, and we certainly respect those concerns. And really, all we can do at this point is move forward with this, and I think if you bear with us, that hopefully we'll see that it will be an improvement to your neighborhoods. We can only do it on certain roads. It's not suitable for the main roads that the big buses have to travel on, and it's not particularly suitable for roads that have a steep grade as well. Hillcrest residents have been after us to do something about their road for years and years and years, and this was an attempt to try to accommodate that. So it's the explanation that I can give. It may not be to your liking, but at least I hope you'll understand what we were motivated by and what we're trying to accomplish, and the hopes of making your neighborhoods better. So that's really all I can say on that. Please come and see me at any time if you want to talk more about it. This isn't the place for it here this evening, but I'm quite happy to have conversation. I know our staff are receptive to talking to you about it at any time. So if there are issues that are arising that perhaps we haven't anticipated, then please let us know. We'll do our best to try to accommodate your concerns. Thank you very much. If you don't wish to stay for the rest of this meeting, I'll understand. And by all means, please come and see me outside of this if you'd like to. Okay, I'm going to move on. Sorry, yes, thank you, Councillor White. Motion to receive the petition. Councillor White, second. Councillor Valeria, all in favor? It's carried.
Next day,
Okay, we move on to 5.1, administration reports and liquor license referral, development variance permit for 537 Cruise Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A combined report in front of you for a liquor license referral and for a variance permit. And before I go into the report, I thought I'd start with the comments that we received from the public, and following that, we could also ask if there's anybody else today here in the meeting that would like to speak. The submission that we received at the time of the report are attached. There's a letter from the Gibsons Public Art Gallery supporting the application and indicating that the parking is available after hours. There's some concern about current use of the lane, which is sometimes treated as a street. This is a bit separate of an issue from the application, but still something that was commented on. A number of support letters from nearby businesses. This is something that council had suggested in the previous discussion back in September. So the applicants, and they're here, by the way, here in the front row is Neil Bergman, Jeff Cornell, and Warren Gregory. Sorry about that. I'm bad at this. But so there are a number of supportive letters there from adjacent businesses. There's also a letter from Mr. Mecken, who's the owner of the Johnson block. He is concerned, he's specifically opposed to the variance, particularly. He has concerns about the use of parking stalls in the lane at the back, not just in relation to this application, but also to other neighbors. There's also a letter from Mr. and Mrs. Paulus, in support, the RCMP indicating no concerns. And then one additional letter came in after the deadline, and that's has been handed out to you, and that's from Grandma's Pub. They indicate concerns about parking mainly, indicating that there have been issues with regards to parking, and they feel that the possibly 3 to 4 parking spots that would be offered are not sufficient. They also raised some questions about the Gibsons Parking Fund, which is something that is referenced in the zoning bylaw. They make some comments about opening hours, which are quite similar to the pub. It's, I think, what they're saying there. So they don't oppose the application necessarily, but they like to see it follow all the relevant bylaw requirements. So maybe, Mr. Mayor, if I can give it back to you for a second to see if there's anybody else that would like to comment on this.
Right, thank you, Andre. Yeah, so at this point, this is our last point for public input before council discusses the issue. So if there is anyone here that wants to make their views known on this liquor license or parking variance, now is going to be the time to do that. So I just ask that you take the microphone, because the meeting is recorded. If you would be kind enough to state your name and place of residence. Thank you.
My name is Suzanne Pemberton. I live 426 Marine Drive, right across from the Gibsons Public Art Gallery. And I have a letter here that I was going to submit, but I thought I would show my face first so that you could see how I feel about this application. I do not support the application for an endorsement for a proposed 52-seat lounge and brewery at 537 Cruise Lane, requiring a variance permit to reduce parking requirements to 1. Plus, I do not support a zoning amendment to the C5 zoning currently in place. So parking in Lower Gibsons, specifically Marine Drive between Molly's Reach and the Black Bean Cafe at Jack's Lane, is already beyond compromise. There are presently 6 restaurants with a total seating capacity of 403, 12 businesses and 13 residences in this one block. Adding a 52-seat lounge and a brewery is extremely short-sighted, to say the least, especially since there are only 20 public parking spaces in this block, and effectively not one of the restaurants provides parking, the exceptions being Grandma's Pub and Molly's Reach. There are 10 public parking spaces on Gibsons Way. These are effectively at the back of the building in question. Aside from the existing parking issues adding the extra traffic servicing the brewery with the accompanying trucks and cars, plus a 52-seat lounge. Really? Now consider the water consumption that will be utilized, produce the beer and the smell of production affecting our air quality. I'm really nervous because I'm so upset that I can hardly stand it because I live there and I have so much trouble with parking and noise issues. It's unbelievable now. It's getting worse. We already have a crematorium within 2 blocks of this proposal, which of course pumps out toxic gases that affects our air quality. This proposal is not a good idea for all the above reasons. Attached is a breakdown of the list of all the restaurants with total seating and provided parking, plus the list of businesses and their provided parking. The residences have no provided parking and must rely on the street. Difficult as parking is only 2 hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Saturday and only 20 spaces available. So with 403 seating capacity and that kind of parking doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I broke it all down here. There are approximately 10 residences that rely on street parking. There are between School Road and Jacks Lane a grand total of 20 public parking spaces on this short block and 10 on Gibsons Way. This is beyond inadequate to service all of the above: restaurants, businesses, and residences. A proposal for a brewery in a 52-seat lounge with those parking issues flies in the face of reason. Please do not waste any more time and money on this proposal, as the parking, traffic, and environmental issues are obviously untenable for this location. Thank you for considering this seriously.
Great, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that wishes to make submissions in respect to this particular?
You can also sit down if you like, or sit here. Be comfortable.
Yeah, go ahead, just state your name and.
My name is Michelle Whiting. I'm from Grandma's Pub. First of all, we do support new business. We're all for that. But I expect a level playing field for all involved. And that means we need to all follow the rules and bylaws that are put in place by the town, as well as liquor control and licensing. And there is a parking bylaw within the town that needs to be complied with. We comply with it, as well does the new brewery that's going to be opening in Upper Gibsons. So like I said, our main concern is the parking. Right now they have one space and that is not adequate enough. And according to your bylaw number 1505, you need one space for every 5 seats. So that means they need a minimum of 10 parking spaces to fall within the guidelines of the parking bylaw. Right now, they have one, but if the variance request, even if it is granted, it will only add 3 additional spots. And those 3 additional spots are coming at a cost of $18,000. Does those funds go into the parking fund? And what is a parking fund? And how is it set up? Would the funds be passed on to another project other than the parking?
Yeah.
What is the intended use of the parking fund? And what is the timeline of using those funds to create more parking? Even if they get permission from surrounding businesses, all that is a permission to park there. It's not, it can be taken away from them at any time. So once they set up and they have that permission, those spots can be taken away from those businesses. What they need to have is a legal covenant in place that, so then that will then qualify that as a parking spot to them. But without a legal covenant, that is not considered one of their parking spots. And after looking at the staff report, it says that there were 63 responses submitted, 21 in support, 42 opposed. So I think the Lower Gibsons residents and business owners have spoken. And on their business license, it states that they are going to be opened from noon till 11, Sunday to Thursday, and from noon to 12:30, on Fridays and Saturdays. But then in their submission, they have their hours of operation being from 4 till 10 daily. So what is it? Is it what their license says or what they're saying that it's going to be? Because once things are put in place, they say one thing, but they will follow what the license says. So I think there's some miscommunications and misunderstandings. So I think there's questions that need to be answered. And it says that in their submissions, it says ample parking is available at the manufacturer. And then the lounge will have a sale and service of product by bottle or by glass. So is there gonna be a retail location to sell their product? Because if there is, we are a retail location and you need to be more than 1 kilometer away to be able to sell a retail product. And if they're going to be open roughly 12 hours a day, is there a food option on site for their drinking customers? Because liquor control and licensing stated in their submission that food and non-alcoholic beverages must be available at a reasonable price to customers. So I think there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered before this is approved, but like I said, the main thing is parking. Down at Grandma's, we have at least 17 spaces that we provide for our customers, and we're almost double the size of them. So I don't think it's unreasonable making sure that everybody follows the bylaws that are in place and makes it fair for all of the businesses. If they get passed by not having the adequate spaces, what's to stop another business from coming in and trying to get the same thing? It won't stop, so I think a precedent needs to be set that we need to follow the rules and bylaws. I'll stop, I have more, but I'll stop.
Okay, thank you, Ms. White. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak with respect to this particular application?
Hello. Thank you, councillors and mayor. I'd just like to,
Sorry, just state your name.
my name is Jeff Gornell. I'm representing Gibsons Tap Works. So of the many letters of support that we rounded up, we had endorsements from 3 very close in proximity businesses endorsing us to use their parking stalls during peak or our peak hours, off hours for them. That was approximately 38 stalls.
Where?
Secondly, I'd like to point out that we're a small brewery in comparison to a number of other ones. Our equipment is only set up to mostly service our tap room. We're not going to have a bunch of trucks running distribution or anything like that out there. It will predominantly be tap room focused. We also have side streaming of our wastewater, meaning we'll be mitigating the environmental repercussions associated with operating a brewery there. And we've been working with the town of Gibsons and the engineering department on that. I'm not sure where this 4 to 10 hours came from, or a couple of the other latter statements. The hours of operation are correct on the meeting minutes or the agenda provided.
Page 42 of the staff report.
What about it?
That was
Yeah,
the CLC application.
Just don't interrupt while he's speaking, please.
We will be offering food for our patrons. We've had meetings with a couple local restaurants. We'd like to have that offered to our patrons and to partner with a local business as that's part of our mandate. Thank you very much.
Yes, Councillor White.
In the staff report, there seems to be some samples of other applications, and I'm concerned that these are getting mixed up with the actual applications. I'm just seeking staff's. I think one is the mention of the hours, one is the mention of 63 responses, 42 opposed. I think those are from samples, which are confusing matters. They're not this application, is that correct?
Yeah, for you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Councillor White. That's correct. Attachment 3, which was just referred to, that's actually a sample from the BC Liquor Board, so it's not about this file. the information about this particular application is in the staff report itself and not in the attachments. So it's a little bit confusing. Sorry for the confusion there, but I included the referral request from the BC Liquor Board, including 2 attachments that were for information for us. So sorry about the confusion.
Right, thank you, Councillor White, for pointing that out. Okay, thank you. Anyone else that wishes to make any representations with respect to this particular application?
I'm Sherry Denroth, and I have a little gallery down on Marine Drive. Parking is a real problem. I get parking tickets all the time. Every time you forget, 2 hours has gone by, don't go move that car, it's a parking ticket. Or I steal the space from the G-Park or Zorco. Where is the business that's got 38 parking spots near you?
Zocalo, the public art gallery.
And they're giving you their parking spots?
During their closed hours, yes.
They're allowing us, our customers, to use them during those hours.
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like it's already a done deal. They're working with engineers. It's already happening. It's gonna spoil the living space down in that little part of the town. I can tell you. There's something really wrong with this.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sandra. Okay. Anyone else wish to make any submissions with respect to this particular application? Okay, Andre?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to continue giving some backgrounds and first like to discuss with council the recommendations that might go to the liquor board and get your direction on that, similar to what we did in the previous meeting for the other application. And then the second part, I can give you some backgrounds on the variance for the parking and an update on what we discussed with the applicants, and then you can consider that. So starting with the liquor license endorsement, just maybe for everybody's information as a refresher, this is a referral from the provincial government, the licensing control and liquor control and licensing branch. And the manufacturing portion of breweries is completely taken care of at the provincial level. But when there's a tasting lounge proposed, that's get referred to local government for comments. We have a policy that outlines how this works. We seek input from the RCMP. We inform owners and tenants in a 100-meter radius, and we advertise in the newspapers to let them know that this is on the books. Let me see, then there's a number of recommendations and on particular topics that the BC Liquor Board would like to get your input on. So the first one is location, and I gave you some backgrounds, and we also heard from community members, and we have the information in the report. So the location is in the downtown commercial zone. There's also a zoning amendment in process, and in that zoning amendment, and there will still be a public hearing later this fall. But in that zoning amendment, the tasting room is introduced as a permitted use. Not that it would not already fit in the C5 zone, but it seemed logical to specify it. What is not currently allowed in C5 in the commercial zone is the brewery portion of the proposal. And that's where the tasting room and the brewery, microbrewery I should say, not regular brewery, microbrewery will be added as 2 uses to the zoning bylaw, with the catch that the brewery portion cannot be bigger than 50%. In our OCP, this area is designated mixed use commercial. So on its own, in terms of zoning and official community plan designations, the location seems to fit. But there are also other things to consider, of course. So, but to start with location, I'd like to ask council to indicate if they have preferences for the option A or option B under that header.
Okay, so just to be clear, at this point, we are dealing with the criteria that requires a response for the liquor license itself. This is, at this stage, we're not necessarily dealing with zoning or variance yet, correct? That's right. So I just want to make sure that that's understood. All right, so the first area then that they require comment on or resolution from council, so it affects the location and the options that at least are presented here at the moment that council endorse the location due to support from the official community plan goals and on condition that the current zoning amendment is adopted. Or alternatively, the council does not support the proposed location of the tasting lounge based on the current zoning and the official community plan. Councilor Maria?
My impression, thanks, Mr. Mayor. My impression is this use fits really well with the OCP as it relates to the harbor area, so I would move A, that council endorse the location.
Okay, so a second for that, Councilor White. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor then? Okay, so that one is carried, option 1A.
Thank you.
Second one?
The next item deals with proximity to other uses in the area, social, recreational, or public facilities. In this area, it's mostly commercial uses. Art galleries maybe is not exactly commercial. We've listed some things there that are nearby. You're fairly familiar with the area, I have no doubt. Residential uses are uphill on the other side of Gibson's Way and further up. You see here, and yeah, so your input is asked if you feel that if there's any sensitive uses that maybe would not be compatible with this, or that you feel that the proximity to the other uses doesn't result in any problems. From a planning perspective, this is, I could have mentioned that as well in the location, but we're looking at the Gibson's landing area, our commercial area there. We've had policies in place to support it, to keep it active and vibrant. And with that in mind, I think this is a very exciting proposal that gives us also additional opportunities in evening hours when there's not so much going on in the area. So in that sense, from a planning perspective, I think it fits well with our OCP goals. So that's number 2.
Yeah, thank you for that summary. Councilor White? Council? Okay, we'll move 1A on that one, which is that council is of the opinion that the proposed tasting lounge would not interfere with surrounding social recreation and public facilities. Second, Councilor Valeria, further discussion on that one? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, that's carried on that one.
Thank you. Person capacity. This has been reviewed by the building inspector. It is a requirement from the BC Liquor Board. He bases his assessment on the building itself, the size of the building, and the building code prescribes how many people could use that, depending on the layout. So the occupant load was determined to be 52, and that's also the proposed capacity of the lounge of 45 seats and 7 standing. There's 2 options there for your consideration as well.
Yeah, sorry, yes, was the building inspectors determined the 52 is the load for that one, right? Okay. Councilor White, you're moving 3A, are you? Okay. Council support the occupant load for the interior tasting lounge areas in accordance with BC building code. Okay, second. Councilor Maria, further discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Okay, Andre, number 4.
Number 4 is hours of operation, and the application at the Liquor Board deals with opening 7 days a week, 12 to 11, Sunday to Thursday, and 12 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Friday and Saturday. And the applicant has indicated that those are for the license, but it's likely that there's not always activities going on during the week, so it may be less than that, but that's what the license would allow for. Let me see. Yeah, so there are 3 options there: support hours of operation, or maybe suggest changes to it, or indicate any concerns with that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the options there, council support the hours of operation as presented in the liquor license lounge endorsement, or alternatively support hours of operation if the application reduced evening hours during the week, or alternatively any other concerns around the hours. Councilor Valerian?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I tried to go back and recall what hours we discussed on the Upper Gibsons for Bob's Automotive is. I have to say I'm a little concerned about pushing past the midnight barrier and the Lower Gibsons with this many residents. I mean, I think it was midnight at Bob's, and there are a few residents, but not as many. So past midnight, even just Friday and Saturday, sounds a little late to me for our town. Maybe if we think for the future, it's not unreasonable, but with the number of nearby residents, I feel like that might be a step, a little bit, half an hour, a bit too far.
Should I say, I haven't lived too long enough to remember the cabaret. So I guess it's a different town these days. It's worth discussing. Just thought I'd make that comment. It hasn't always been used that at 10 o'clock. Or earlier. I don't know.
So, Councilor Valerian, you're at the moment, what's causing you some discomfort is the sort of the 12:30 cap on Friday and Saturday, is that correct? And are you suggesting 12 or 11 as consistent with the weekdays?
Can I just, sorry staff, if you don't have a tip to your fingers, but the Bob's Automotive, do you have those hours?
Yep. Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I just looked at the report. Their opening hours here are 11 to 11. Let me double check here if there's no other days. Oh, we had the same indication that they expect to close earlier on most weekdays, but I probably use Thursday to Saturday to be open until 11 p.m.
Sorry, what was that?
11 p.m. closing time at the other lounge.
So every night?
Yes.
Well, how's that one look to you? Being consistent with the other one. Okay, so Councilor Stanjanko, would you perhaps perhaps I guess it would be maybe 4B that council would support the hours of operation, provided that's reduced to 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday or 7 days a week. You move that? All right, is there a seconder on that one? About a second to just forget that for discussion? Okay, all right, so second by Councilor Valerian. Okay, so back to discussion on that.
I'll leave it to you, Mr. Mayor, but we take the opportunity to hear from the applicants on. We haven't had it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly, they've asked for these hours, but what impact that would have.
Yeah.
Which we don't know.
So Councilor White is offering you at least to comment on that, just so that council is aware of any factors.
Thank you. As is the case with weekdays, we wish to leave 12:30 as the latest we would stay open. We'd like to do that for special events and when we do community events and that kind of thing, to have the option. We would intend to close down earlier. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm Warren, also with Gibsons Tap Works, and I just wanted to, we were attending the previous lounge meeting that you guys had, and if I recall, I mean, I don't know their whole process, but if I recall, they weren't pushing for a later time there, so I'm not sure that the precedent was necessarily like a limitation for them. So I find that the area that they're in won't necessarily have sustainable activity in the evening. It'll just be them that's drawing people there, whereas in Lower Gibsons, there are multiple businesses that are running at later dates, so, or not later dates, later times, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on this one?
Does anybody, through you, Mr. Mayor, is anybody of the staff aware of the
Persephone's hours. Do you know what time that goes?
7, I think.
Do you know?
Yeah, they're open until 7, but that's because they're on ALR land.
Okay. And this is just my humble opinion, is that I think opening to 12:30, you're kind of morphing from a tap house into a bar. I have a business down there, and I close at 10, usually 10, and we like to get people out of there. So, would I like to see Lower Gibsons offer somewhere to go afterwards? Absolutely. But I think I just wouldn't want to see it morph into like a late night drinking spot instead of, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, what I try to do is food. I mean, alcohol is like a accompaniment to the food that we try and serve. I probably want to respect the same from you guys. You guys are going to want to brew really good beer and not just be some place that somebody crawls in from 12 to 12:30 because maybe grandmas have closed their doors. So that would be my only fear, is that little half hour or, the last hour might be just kind of like I can't use the word I want to use, but that's my fear. And I'm sure you could probably understand that. So.
I think one thing to be aware of as a new business opening up in a small community is it's a give and a take. It's always a give and a take. So you are moving into a small neighborhood, and there's lots of you're learning that you need to work with the community and you need to listen to the community. And personally, I think staying open till 11 o'clock is a great place to start. It's a huge win, and you have a lot of people that live in close proximity to you, that have lived in close proximity without anything open. I'm sorry, I don't remember I wasn't here when the cabaret was open. So I guess I'm just saying, like, count your blessings and keep making friends with your new neighbors, and just keep working on that give and take.
If you were here when cabaret was open, Staff Sergeant's reports would have been a lot
Yeah.
different. I'm sure you. One question, Andre. Supposing council does endorse the motion that's before us at the moment, is it still up to the Liquor Control Board to set the hours, or do they tend to be guided by that recommendation? And if you don't know, that's fine too.
I believe they are looking for a local support for that, so I think our advice would weigh heavily.
Okay, Councilman Dart.
I was looking at the wording of B. Council would support the hours of operation if the application reduced evening hours during the week. Not sure if it's actually, I don't know if they mean during the Monday or Sunday to Thursday during the week, or whether we're avoiding talking about weekends at all there, but perhaps we could just leave it as reduced evening hours and leave it to the proponents and the LCLB and discussion to figure out what those are. So I think what we're really looking at is weekend hours. I'm not sure if that's what that means, but so I'd suggest just an amendment to remove during the week and let things.
Sorry, I think these are sort of suggestions that are put forward by staff based on what they need to bring to us. But I understood, at least the motion that we're dealing with at the moment would simply say that the hours of operation would not be past 11 p.m. 7 days a week, period. That's the motion that's sort of sitting here. Yeah. So in other words, putting 11 p.m. cap on operations. So I guess it would be 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. essentially would be the 7 days a week that we're talking about. That's what's sort of sitting before us at the moment, which we haven't voted on yet, but that's why we're just trying to make sure we cover all aspects of this. Okay, so is there anything else, any further discussion on that one, Councillor Lund?
Yeah, the weekdays are irrelevant, because the weekdays will police themselves. I doubt, especially this, like for at least 7 to 8 months of the year, you guys aren't gonna be standing around with an empty, group up till 11, till you ring the bell and go home. So, quite frankly, you could be closed at 9 at any one of those times. The weekdays aren't the issue, but I don't know, for me, I agree with the neighbors and stuff, but I think 11 might be just a little bit, you know, when you're operating this business or any business in this small town, the weekends are kind of your bread and butter. So if they've got 25 or 30 people in there at 11, that want another beer, it'd be a shame to have to send them all somewhere else. One of the delegates who spoke, Michelle, she wanted to see a fair playing field, and your liquor license ends at
12 a.m.
12. So if you want a fair playing field, I'd say, you know, and although I know I brought up the bar again, but it's still a smaller crowd that late at night. So just through experience. You know.
All right, if nothing else, I guess we better just call for a vote on this, unless we vote this thing. Was seconded by Councillor Larry. Yeah. Yeah, so it has been moved and seconded, and yes, Councillor.
I'll move to amend it to 12.
Which days?
Discussion
Which days?
on the weekends.
Friday and Saturday. Okay, so I got a motion to amend the closing, the hours of operation on Friday and Saturday to 12 noon to 12 midnight. Seconder for that, Councillor Lumley. All right, discussion on that one, Councillor Blair.
Yeah, I can support that, given the level playing field comment, and that's kind of what I think at the outset. So it's easy for me.
All right, all in favor of the amendment? That's carried. Back to the main motion. Oh, I'm sorry, any opposed? Oh, Councillor Sanjay, sorry, thank you. Okay, back to the main then, motion, which then would be that the hours of operation be 12 p.m. to, 12 noon to 12 midnight, 7 days a week. Okay, that's what's before us. Okay, all right, all in favor then? Opposed? It's carried, Councillor Sanjanko opposed. All right. Number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Number 5, under the header traffic, noise, parking and zoning. We're going to talk more about parking, but feel free to bring it up. It is in relation to the liquor license. Let me see. Traffic, we don't have a whole lot of information that we provided there, but it is in Lower Gibsons. Not everybody will arrive by car. It's a central location in our town. Local customers can go there by foot or on bicycle. This is something that we'll get to in the variance section as well. There's more information on that. With regards to noise, the lounge will not provide amplified outdoor music. And there are some residents right next door, but other residents are further removed from the site, at least 120 meters, we figured, based on the map. With regards to parking, I should mention that we discussed now with the applicants that in addition to the one stall on site, they also committed to providing the 3 additional stalls on Gibsons Way, one of those 2 islands that are there that we discussed. And I'll talk more about that under the variance. And the zoning I discussed, I already explained that the zoning was going to be changed to allow for these uses. Let me see. Yeah, that's in a nutshell the backgrounds to that. Welcome to answer any further questions on that. There are 2 recommendations there that council support the lounge or maybe has concerns about it. Thank you.
Councillor Sanjanko.
Just a question, a clarification to staff. and I know we'll be talking about this in the variance, but the three street parking spots that we are going to be speaking about, those are going to be public spots?
Yes, they would be on Gibson's Way, so they would be for general use, so it's an addition in street parking.
So I think my comments and I still have some concerns around the parking as well. When the proponents came before us before, we made a suggestion to definitely talk to the neighboring businesses, and I'm happy to see that you did that. I think what I was looking for in the staff report tonight was a very solid parking solutions plan. You gave us letters of support. Two of the letters I saw said that they would be willing for you to park after hours. One of the businesses I was expecting to maybe help out didn't say anything about parking. So there are letters of support there, but there's not a really concrete, solid parking solution, which is what I was hoping to see. You made reference that you have access to 38 stalls. You made verbal reference. I would have loved to have seen that on paper, signed by those. Do you see where my concern is? It's just a bit vague. And if this was my business and my proposal, and I was trying to be very clear when you came before us that I really wanted to see how you would come back with a solution around parking, because we knew that it was going to be a bit of a problem. So any of my comments or questions tonight are directly related back to that. I see letters of support, but I don't see really clear, solid solutions with, signatures behind them. So.
Councillor Lumley?
I would have to agree with Councillor Sanjanko regarding the plan, parking plan. I think that in like a perfect world, I mean, just, I don't think you can go ahead willy-nilly with like someone's permission in the art gallery or Zocalo. It sounds great and everything. And the letters of support, I mean, unfortunately, like most of them were a form letter. People just signed off on, which was unfortunate. But I mean, I would support this. I am supportive of this project, but I think you do need a parking plan. And I think you could get a variance on a certain number of spots, but I would like to see those spots marked. Now, that being said, I mean, I have a parking lot that I pay for, and I don't know who parks in there. I don't know if the people are eating that. Actually, the parking lot's full when I get to work at around 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. My parking lot's full. We don't open until noon. So, but the fact is that I do have parking, and it's a requirement by everybody. So, although, like I said, we can do some sort. I wouldn't be opposed to a variance of some kind. But I think the one on the table here, I wouldn't be able to support. But that doesn't mean it can't happen, or you can't have a plan, or you can't find parking and make it work.
What? I'm going to present an alternative viewpoint here, and kind of other councillors may have guessed I'm a little bit bloody-minded about parking. I think if we're moving towards density, we're moving towards asking people to take alternatives. Obviously the biggest solution is providing alternatives. I mean, we had a presentation from Transit today. The other piece is, if there's no parking, then you won't drive down there, and that can go cut two ways. Either it's a bad business decision, and then to be competitive, you have to provide parking, or people will naturally gravitate to alternatives. And the Harbour Area Plan talks about a pedestrian community. It is feasible. I mean, we're talking 4 to 7 parking spots, and yeah, it'll be a pinch, and there will probably be conflict. But I feel like we're never going to have enough parking. You could probably agree, we recognize their parking, that's a competitive advantage, and maybe, that's a good thing for them. But in a space like this where we endorse the location and we recognize there's challenges, I feel like we have to let parking sort itself to a certain degree. The market kind of dictates, and so I mean that's my closing view. I really have a hard time getting excited about requiring massive amounts of parking so that we can all just keep driving single occupancy vehicles to every destination we want to go to and expect that there'll be parking there. Well, the only one's going to drive carpooling, ride sharing, and walking is when you know that parking's river down there, and you still want to go, but you're not going to expect to park your own vehicle all the time.
I agree with that. I know we still have to talk about parking variance yet, and trying to get pulled into it here now, I guess. Yes, Andre?
Yeah, I have some more to say about parking. So I'm wondering, I have a suggestion for either with options A or B, whatever you'd like to choose here, Council. You could add that support is conditional on the approval of the development variance permit. So that way you push that discussion to the variance permit. And that becomes a condition of the liquor license approval effectively, but
yeah, and certainly that's where the more critical discussion is around the variance, quite frankly. So really then what you would be suggesting here is that if we were going to go with 5A, then council supports the lounge and finds a related traffic noise parking is only going to be accommodated at this location, providing appropriate variances are in place. Is that kind of what we're saying?
yeah, I scribbled down subject to approval of the development variance permit.
Okay, that's fine. Then we can have that full discussion on the variance. Are you okay with that? There's a remover of that, and then with that amendment, just so we can get further this part. So Councillor Bowman, right? Second, Councillor Blair. Further discussion on that one then? Okay, so all in favor? Okay, so let's go with that one. We'll get through this part of it. Number 6.
Impact on the community, which is more in general type of comments that the liquor board is looking for. As I made some references, staff recommendation or staff review is generally on balance positive, but the council can add to that as well. Let me see 2 options there again. Support the proposed lounge as presented, or indicate any particular concerns about the impact of the community in general.
Thank you. So that 6A would, if that's the one that would be moved, would be council supports the proposed lounge as presented, finds it will have a positive overall impact on the community. Councillor Larry, second. Councillor White, is there discussion on that? Okay, all in favor then? And that's carried. Number 7.
7 is about the views of the residents, and we consider that we follow the process outlined in the policy to give notice